Good morning, WNOV family. Thank you for joining us for Money Talks with Attorney Coral, sponsored by Columbia Savings and Loan Association, which is Wisconsin's only Black owned bank and the sixth oldest Black owned bank in the United States. We are celebrating 100 years of service this year in 2024, and I am Attorney Coral Ples, your host and General Counsel for Columbia Savings and Loan. If this is your first time listening to the show, welcome. This show focuses on economic empowerment for our community, hence the name of the show, Money Talks, where we talk about all things related to money. So, whether you're buying a home, whether you're planning your estate, starting or expanding a business, or gaining access to job training for high demand family supporting jobs, we want this show to be a resource for you so you know what resources are available to create opportunities for yourself and for your family. So I have two guests in the studio this morning because we have a mutually valuable partnership to discuss, along with a discussion about an upcoming event for individuals and families in the community. So I am delighted to have in the studio today Tara Bayer. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Buyer.
Bayer.
I'll
Okay.
answer to either. Don't worry.
All right. Sorry about that, Tara. We've met a couple times now, so I need to get the pronunciation together. So you are the Vice President and the Director of Marketing for Port Washington State Bank, correct?
Yes.
All right. So welcome to you.
Thank you.
And to your right is Linda Shea. Am I pronouncing that correctly, or is it Che?
It's Che.
Okay. I'm 0
Two
for
for
2.
two.
I'm not doing too well today with that. Sorry about that. I was trying to practice that before I came in the studio this morning, and I was telling Ernie that I was going to say it the right way, and I originally pronounced it the correct way, but I corrected myself and made it wrong. So sorry about that,
You're
Linda
fine.
Shea. You are the Vice President / mortgage lender for Port Washington State Bank.
I am.
So welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're here today with Tara and Linda, welcoming you to the Money Talk show on WNOV, which is 860 AM, 106.5 FM. Now, audience, I have had the pleasure of meeting these two ladies previously. I think we did a show about 3 months ago to talk about a prior home buying seminar. And so I've had an opportunity to get to know them a little bit. And I would like for the audience to have the opportunity to get to know my guests a little bit as well. So, Tara, I'm going to start with you, and I'll ask you to tell us a little bit about your background, who you are, and what you do.
Sure. I'm a Wisconsin native, so born and bred. My dad is actually from India, and he came to the country to go to Marquette, get his engineering degree, and then he met my mom and decided to stay here and get married.
Oh, wow.
And one of my favorite stories about him growing up here in Milwaukee is he worked at the Pfister, and he was a bellhop. And there was a gentleman who left a briefcase full of jewelry in the elevator, and my dad kept it, called the card that was inside of the briefcase that belonged to the man that stayed there, and said, "Hey, you left your briefcase here. It's got a lot of jewelry in it."
Wow.
And he was like, "Oh, I better come right back and get that." So he traveled back to the Pfister and let my dad pick out any engagement ring from the briefcase to marry my mom. So even though he was working at a hotel kind of situation and didn't have money to get married, he somehow miraculously got the opportunity. So yeah,
yeah,
fun little story.
that's a good story, and so that just goes to show you can have integrity, and then have a nice reward on the other end of that.
Yeah,
That's wonderful. So your dad's a Marquette grad.
Mhm.
All right,
Yeah.
wonderful. So Linda, tell us a little bit about you.
I have no fun story like Tara. I'm Linda Che. I'm a mortgage banker for Port Washington State Bank. I also grew up in Milwaukee, went to Wisconsin Lutheran High School. I have had a various number of different jobs in banking over the last 20 years, and ended up being a mortgage lender, which I love. I like to volunteer in my community. I have a cat and dog. I'm an empty nester this year. My baby went to college.
Oh, wow.
So kind of navigating that right now.
Yeah, yeah. So as a mortgage lender, what do you do? What does it mean to be a mortgage lender?
A mortgage lender is a great opportunity to help people in kind of a specific way. I was a banker for a while and did some like car lending and home equity lending, things like that. And I really liked lending itself. It's almost like figuring out a mystery. Each mortgage is like a fingerprint. They're always completely different scenarios, different people that you're working with. So it's my job to figure out how to make a mortgage work and how to give the most efficient path for my customers, which means saving them money, making it easy for them, just helping them navigate a really great decision.
Okay.
Sometimes it also is like a path to get somewhere. Sometimes people aren't exactly ready at that moment, but because of the knowledge I have doing so many mortgages, I'm there to help say, do this, do that, don't do this, and hopefully we'll get to where we need to get to.
Right. Okay. I like that. I like that. That's informative. So, Tara, I don't want to let you off the hook too easily because you didn't tell us about your job as the Vice President, Director of Marketing for Port Washington. How did you come to be in that position and what sort of things do you do?
I do a lot of events, like the home buying seminar that we're working on now. And I also do any sort of marketing or PR that's related to the bank. So ads, radio spots, press releases, social media, website management, that all falls under marketing. And I got here, I actually started in ad agencies around Milwaukee. I worked at 3 or 4 of them. One of them um, happened to have the relationship with Port Washington State Bank. And so a few years later, when they were looking to expand and build a marketing department, I got a call and here I am 6 years later.
Oh,
We love
wow.
her.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. So, Port Washington State Bank and Columbia Savings and Loan Association are both FDIC insured financial institutions and equal housing lenders. Port Washington State Bank's nationwide mortgage licensing system, so NMLS number, is 460289, and Columbia Savings and Loan Association's NMLS ID is 810969. Now, let's break that all down and explain to the audience what those credentials mean for them. Tara, everyone has heard the term FDIC insured. With everything that has happened in recent years on the coast with a few banks, how much insurance does the federal government provide to protect a depositor?
So at FDIC insured banks, every depositor gets up to $250,000 in coverage. And that has been an important note because of some of the bank failures as of late, but also because when you think about it, a lot of us keep money in all sorts of places. I have money in my Starbucks app just sitting there. I have money in, a lot of different places. And when you think about it, if something happened to that company, it would go down. So it is kind of an important topic to cover. And we all take it very seriously as FDIC insured banks. And we just want to share that with people. As far as equal housing lender, and Linda can add to this, but it's almost the same thing. It's a means of protection. And that protection is really just so that no bank can discriminate any credit transaction on the basis of race, color, national origin, religion, sex, marital status, or age. So no matter who you are, what you look like, that doesn't matter. Everybody should be treated equally. So when you see that little house icon on things, that's really just a reminder that matters to us and it's an important factor.
Okay. So
All the
all the people who have money stuffed in their mattresses at home might as well come and put it in one of these FDIC insured banking institutions, right?
Yeah, or if you were my grandma, she would stick it in robes in her closet.
And then probably forget it was there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yep. That's how that goes. Yeah. So that was helpful. So thank you for sharing that. And you even talked a little bit about the equal housing lender and what that means. But Linda, if you would want to elaborate on that at all, as far as what it means to be an equal housing lender.
I agree with what Tara said. She covered it really, really well. It's just to make sure that there's no discrimination happening when it comes to lending for houses or houses that people get into. Um, You also talked about the National Mortgage Licensing System, which I can tell you more about. I
Please.
actually have my own number. My number is 1419913. That's my MNLS number, which is the initials for National Mortgage Licensing System. And your NMLS is a centralized database and licensing platform that regulates and tracks mortgage originators. So I'm an originator. I start a mortgage in our country here. Each lender and institution is assigned a license number. My number that I just told you follows me through my career. So as I've worked at a couple of banks before I worked at Port Washington State Bank, so my number was the same. You can go to the NMLS platform online and look up my license number to see if I'm properly licensed, where I've worked, and if I've had any fraud alerts or ethical violations. So you can look up banks that way. You can look up particular lenders that way. And after the housing crisis, our federal government said we really need to keep a better track of these lenders and make sure there's a place for people to go to know that they can trust the lender that they're working with.
Okay, so that was a direct response to some of the predatory lending that was going on around the nation not too many years ago.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I actually wasn't aware of that was how that came to be until you said it. So thank you for that information. Okay, so now that we have some of the background information set forth, let's talk to the audience a little bit about Port Washington State Bank. Tara, will you tell us about your bank?
Sure. So, Port Washington State Bank is a family owned 5-generation bank. We started back in 1899, so we are 125 years old. I like to say we don't look a day over 50. We have 8 branches in Ozaukee County, so all the way north, back Belgium, Fredonia, all the way south down to Mequon, Thiensville. And we consider ourselves a full service bank. So we offer checking and savings accounts. We do mortgage lending, which is what Linda specializes in. We offer car loans. We offer business loans. So we're technically a full service bank.
Okay. So, yeah, and I understand from my research, in addition to what you just said, that Port Washington State Bank is literally a family affair. The executive chairman and CEO is Mr. Steve Showalter. Hopefully, I'm doing a little better with names now. And the president, chief operating officer, director is Mr. James Showalter. And so, what is the relation between those two?
So Steve is the father of James. And so it is literally a family affair. It all started with Clarence Hill, which was the founder of our bank back in 1899.
Okay, that was going to be my next question.
Yes.
Like, how did it all get started?
Yeah, it was really interesting. So Clarence started the bank back in 1899, exactly at the spot where our headquarters is now. So we've been at the same place for 125 years. When he started the bank about 20 years after that, I should know this because we're writing a book right now about our history. But his son took over, and the son, C. Donald, had a daughter named Betty. And Betty went to high school with Steve's father, Ron. So they met in high school and they fell in love. And when they got married, the gentleman, Ron, was approached to be part of the bank as well. Now that you're in the family, why don't you come join us at the bank? And he said yes. And so that's how the family name changed from Hill to Showalter.
Okay.
So it was kind of a marriage, if you will, into the family business. And so Ron had 2 sons, Steve and Mark. And actually, Steve and Mark are both very active in the business still today. Mark is our vice chairman of our board of directors, and Steve is chairman. And then Steve's son, James, who is our president, he actually became president and COO in 2020.
Okay.
So very challenging year to start, but
yeah. So are they the grandchildren then of Mr. Hill that started the whole thing?
Yes.
Okay. So I mean, it's still really quite a close family connection then.
Yeah. And
did they have a chance to know him or meet him at all?
So it's interesting you bring that up, because in the book, we know that Betty can recount. Betty is Ron's wife, she can account some experiences with the founder. And it's just crazy to think because of how long ago that was. But she can remember how he was. She can remember how C. Donald was. And so, yeah, there's a lot of great little stories that we're wrapping up in a little coffee table book this year in honor of the anniversary.
Oh, in honor of the 125th
Yes.
year.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a big milestone. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So am I right that James then is the fifth generation of the family to lead the bank?
Yes.
Wow. So they keep it close like that. So that sounds really good. Um, and today, Port Washington State Bank has nearly $1 billion in assets. Is that right?
Yes.
So, Tara, what's the secret to the success of Port Washington State Bank?
It's a good question because it is interesting to think about why we've lasted this long. And honestly, I think it's the short answer is people. It's not just people in the bank, because we've always taken pride in bringing people into the bank that really care for the community, sincerely care. So that's been an important part of the recipe, but equally as important are the customers that support us. We have such big fans of the bank out there. Every time we have a new customer come into the bank and we ask them how they heard of us, there is a high probability that they'll say, well, so and so told me that they work with you and they just found you great, and I'd like to come too. So I think it's really just people. People
So
helping
even
people.
though it's grown obviously tremendously over the years, it sounds like there's still that family feel to things. Just with what you're describing, that's what I'm hearing that's coming from it.
It really is very close knit, and our culture is still that way, where we tend to support each other and we do the best we can. And yeah, I think the family aspect does permeate the culture.
Well, on that note, I would like the audience to know that Port Washington State Bank and Columbia Savings and Loan Association have partnered to establish a mutually beneficial business relationship. When Mr. Ernest Jones became president and CEO of Columbia Savings and Loan Association back in the fall of 2022, Port Washington State Bank was one of the first to reach out and establish a relationship between the two entities. And I've learned in nearly 20 years of running my own business, those of you that know that I run my own law firm, that business is first and foremost about relationship building. So that was really kind of as a segue to what Tara was just telling us. That has been my experience in just the years that I've been running my business. I've never really even advertised my business. So what I've learned over the years is that people do business with people who keep their word, who follow through, who operate with integrity. And if you're really fortunate, you do get to do business with people that you actually enjoy. So I have enjoyed the opportunity to meet the two of you, and hope to continue to work more together in the future. So I'm pleased to acknowledge the fact that Port Washington State Bank has deposited $250,000 with Columbia Savings and Loan Association, along with a $10,000 grant in support of what we're building. It is a pleasure for us to work together towards common goals of providing excellent customer service and education for the community, such as the upcoming home buyer seminar, which is one of the main things we're here today to talk about. So Tara and Linda, I just want to take the time during the show to thank you and your team publicly for your support and participation with the home buyer seminar event. And we're going to talk more about that event when we come back from our break. Thank you so much. And we'll be back with more of Money Talks with Attorney Coral.
Milwaukee. This is Michelle Bryant, your host of Say Something Real. When President Joe Biden wanted to talk to Milwaukee voters, he called WNOV.
And welcome President Biden.
Welcome back to Money Talks with Attorney Coral. And again, today I have in the studio with me Tara Beyer and Linda Shea, both from Port Washington State Bank. And what we're talking about is the partnership between Port Washington State Bank and Columbia Savings and Loan. And one of my favorite aspects of our partnership is creating opportunities for families in our community, such as one that's coming up, a joint home buyer seminar that we're here to talk about today. Linda, I'm going to ask you to tell us about the home buyer seminar, the facts, well, first of all, the when, the where, and all of that good stuff. We'll need to repeat that a few times throughout the show. But tell us, what is a home buyer seminar, and give us the rundown on that.
Sure, absolutely. So we have a home buying seminar next week, Thursday, which is June 27th. Two of them, it's the same seminar, but two opportunities to come. One is at 12 noon. The other one is at 4 p.m. It's at Columbia Savings and Loan, which is 2020 West Fond du Lac Avenue. We would love for you to come to that. And the why people should come to the home seminar is because we will give you a good overview of what the home buying process looks like from two mortgage lenders. So it's Ngozi and myself. Ngozi is a mortgage lender at Columbia Savings and Loan. We both have a great deal of lending experience, even though what makes us a really good pair is we have different products. So we have different types of mortgage loans. So some people's scenarios might work well with the products that I offer, and some might work well with the products that Ngozi offers with Columbia Savings and Loan.
So if let me just break in just 1 second, Linda. I wanted to share with the audience that if you would like to attend next week's home buyer seminar, please make a phone call to Columbia Savings and Loan at 414-374-0486. That is 414-374-0486. Call and give us a heads up and let us know that you're coming so that we can keep track, a head count, because and you'll talk more about this, but there are going to be some food served, so we need to keep a tally on who all is coming. There's no fee to come to the seminar, but so we will invite you to come and enjoy a meal. But we would need to keep track of the number of people that we can expect to be there. So I just wanted to make sure to get the phone number out there. But go ahead, Linda. I didn't need to
Oh,
cut
no,
you off.
absolutely. Again, you're going to, two of us are giving the seminar, and Ngozi and myself. This is for people, whether you are just starting to think about purchasing a home and want to know what all is involved in that. If you haven't purchased a home in a while, because rules and how the process goes has changed a great deal in the last couple years. If you are gathering information for a family or a friend, you can come on along. You can just kind of start learning the terms, the rules, kind of the process and things like that. So our seminar, I feel like, is a little bit different than a home buying seminar you might go to another place. Usually home buying seminar talks about, okay, so you're going to purchase a home. These are the documents you need. We're going to do an appraisal. This is what the closing looks like. So kind of that process after you find a home. Our seminar is a little bit different. We're looking at this before you find the home that you want to purchase. We're going to look at it through the eyes of a mortgage lender. So what do Ngozi and I look for when you come in to start talking to us about purchasing a home? Some of these things that you know up front are kind of like your homework. So you can do some homework before you come in and see us, or you can prepare yourself for what are the questions that we're going to ask and why. What's the why behind these crazy questions that we ask you? So again, we're going to look at this as a purchase from the eyes of the bank and what we expect, what we require, how you can prepare ahead of time. There's so many rules, so many options, and we'll break it down for you to kind of take that mystery away.
Okay, so that sounds good. So why should the public participate in a home buyer seminar?
Again, you want to prepare yourself. When we go over rules and processes and things like that, you'll understand it a little bit more, and why you should really be looking at yourself. Like, we're going to talk about credit. Like, credit's always a really big one when people come in. We're going to talk about what good credit looks like. We're going to talk about how to repair bad credit. What if you have no credit? What's that going to look like? We also are going to talk about like down payment funds. What does that all entail? It might be the percentage required for a down payment. It's going to talk about closing costs. What can those funds that you bring in look like? And what kind of funds are available out there for you if you are looking in a low to moderate area or have a low to moderate income? There's lots of help out there that we can kind of start directing you towards.
I think that's one of the better reasons to go is you can do research and everything, but Ngozi and Lyndon know so much about what's out there for help that it's giving you a leg up on getting that process started of thinking about home ownership. They're experts. And so coming to them for advice and to know what you're really going to qualify for and how much time it takes, I think is a really great reason.
Sure. So if one of the things, do you talk about down payment assistance for first-time home buyers in particular?
Sure. So a first-time home buyer can be someone that it is truly your first home that you're buying. It might also be someone who hasn't owned a home in 3 years. You're considered a first-time home buyer again. Sometimes someone's recently divorced, and that puts you back in the category of a first-time home buyer. It really kind of depends. A lot of mortgage things are, it depends. So we'll be able to walk you through what a first-time home buyer looks like.
And how much down payment assistance can a family or an individual gain through first-time home buyer assistance programs?
So I'm going to say this a lot. It depends. It depends on everyone's different scenario. But when you have good mortgage lenders, our jobs are to listen to what you say, look at your financial means or where you're looking for a property, and then be able to guide you towards where there might be down payment assistance and things. The city of Milwaukee has quite a few options for you. It's not money that the bank is giving you. These are programs that you need to qualify for or apply for, but those are things that we guide you through. So we hold your hand through it and make sure that you know what's available and how you can go and get these funds for your down payment.
Okay. Um, were you familiar at all with this is something that Ngozi talked about a little bit when she was here with us last time, the Columbia Savings and Loan customer that qualified for $21,000 down payment assistance?
Sure.
Do you know anything about that?
I know a little bit about it, sure, because Ngozi and I talked about it. What it basically comes down to is you can apply for these grants. Sometimes you need to have a little bit of your own funds involved in it. I believe 2 of the grants that are offered in Milwaukee, they like you to have $1,000 of your own money in it. Again, that's like, I call it skin in the game, right? Everything with mortgages is based on risk. And if you have a little skin in the game and put some of your own funds into it, it makes that loan a little less risky because you don't want to lose those funds in the long run. But programs can be layered on top of each other. So if you get a grant from one place and qualify at another place, you don't have to pick either or. Usually you can layer them one on top of each other. And I believe that's what Ngozi was able to do with this customer was, I think it was 2 different grants that were layered right on top of each other.
Okay. Wow. So that was a pretty good down payment assistance amount.
It was a big win.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Definitely a big win. So now I kind of see more what you mean when you started talking and you said that it's like fingerprints. So every situation is a little bit different.
Every situation is different. No loan is the same. So we do ask a lot of questions. I always say we sound like the FBI when we meet with customers and we find things out. You can't hide anything from us. You can't. You should just tell us everything that's going on because we're really your advocate into this mortgage. We want to do this lending for you. So the more we know about you up front, the more that we can help you and we can work around rules and see how we can make things possible for everyone's different scenario.
Okay. So Linda, not only are there homebuyer programs and grants available for low to moderate income families, there are also programs to help veterans purchase a home. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the support that is out there for veterans?
Absolutely. So first, if you are a veteran, thank you so much for your service. We really do appreciate that. And yes, veterans can qualify for many different types of mortgage products that could have 0% down or $0 in as a down payment. Sometimes they also have no private mortgage insurance and have a really great interest rate. So our VA loans that our government offers are amazing, and you should look at those if you have served for our country. Also, Ngozi at Columbia, she has VA products available, so she could guide you through that process.
Okay. So listeners, it is a myth that families cannot buy a home right now. There is help out here. You just have to know how to access it. And the home buyer seminars are designed to help you do just that. Even if you have some credit challenges, come out to the home buyer seminars. The sessions can help you find out what you need to do to get ready for homeownership. So please don't think that you can only come to these seminars if you know you are 100% locked and ready to buy a home. What these ladies are telling you this morning is that come and get the information so you can figure out the next step to take, or even if it's the very first step to take. Well, the very first step to take will be to come to the home buyer seminar, which is again, when is it, Linda? Tell us again. We gotta let people know.
I have it right here.
Okay.
So it is next Thursday, June 27th. And Coral said seminars plural because we actually hold 2 sessions on that day. There's one at noon in case you can sneak away over a lunch hour to come and visit with us. They're only an hour. And then there's one at 4 p.m. which again will only last an hour. And Ngozi and Linda try to keep it concise so that you can spend a few minutes after the seminar talking about your individual situation, that fingerprint that Linda mentioned. And if you're not familiar with Columbia Savings and Loan Association and where it is, it's 20th and Fond du Lac. And so it's a really easy location to get to. If you're going to take the highway or the bus, there's lots of easy access.
Absolutely. So if you're interested in attending the seminar, please give us a call at 414-374-0486. That is 414-374-0486. That's the phone number directly to Columbia Savings and Loan. If you call, just tell the person that answers the phone that you would like to have your name added to the list of people that we can expect to see at one of the seminars that's scheduled for next week, Thursday. So thank you so much for that reminder, Tara, about the location. And it is easy to get there. And it's also easy to park. So if you happen to be
Absolutely.
driving. So, okay. So Linda, what are some of the other myths or misconceptions that people have about home ownership?
I'll give you the one that I dislike the most. The biggest recommendation I have is not to listen to family, friends, or coworkers about when they purchased a home. When your parents purchased a home 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that process was completely different. When your neighbor purchased their home a year ago, their process was completely different. Rules are changing constantly. It might not be the same as when they did a mortgage. Every person's scenario is unique. We've been talking about the fingerprint. So each loan scenario is unique. What applies to them may not apply to you. This housing environment is very different. Come and see the experts. Come and see Ngozi and myself, and let us tell you what this process looks like. Don't get discouraged or hung up on hearsay, like that's not going to work for me. This isn't going to be, someone said it's going to be too hard. Someone says I won't qualify. Don't listen to them. Come and talk to us, and we're going to let you know. And if for some reason there are some obstacles in front of you, we're going to let you know how to work your way through them and be ready to purchase a house someday. We do this all day, every day. We have heard it. We have seen it all. There's no judging. There's only excited helpers who want to help you through this process.
That sounds good. Is there anything else in general that you'd like to mention about the home buying seminar in terms of what a person can expect coming, or anything else, even you, Tara, that you might want to say about it?
Well, something very important to me is, will I be fed? And the answer is yes, you will. This event, we're planning some barbecue, so we hope that you'll come hungry and enjoy some food with us while you learn about your journey to home ownership. Linda, what about you?
The seminar is going to take about 45 minutes to an hour. We're going to leave time in there for you to ask questions. You can ask questions through the seminar too. A lot of times we'll get off on interesting subjects that someone brings up that really probably pertains to everyone, and it's good to talk about it. If there are questions that you have later or a scenario that you don't want to share in front of the group, you can contact Ngozi and I on separately, and we'll be happy to go over those with you. It's a really fun kind of interactive event. We cover a lot of really good, solid questions that you'll have about mortgages.
So it sounds good. It sounds like we're hoping to get a number of people, because the more information we're able to disseminate, the better. But it sounds like it's still going to be a small enough or a cozy enough environment that will have the opportunity to really, for people to talk and for one another to ask questions, or like you said, to get your contact information or Columbia's contact information thereafter if they want to follow up and speak to you privately about something.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So I've pulled out one of the homebuyer seminar flyers that I've left some here at the radio station, kind of left them around town. I think we've mailed some out and we've done different things to get this in the hands of people, because I like the way it bullet points the types of things that you'll learn at the seminar. So I'm going to go over those bullet points if there's anything that either of you would like to elaborate on. Otherwise, it'll just be informational for people. So in terms of the seminars, what you will learn how owning your home builds generational wealth. So that's a big one. And when I talk on the show a lot as an attorney, I do a lot of educating people about the importance of estate planning so that you are able to build generational wealth and pass on that generational wealth, because that's what makes it generational wealth, when you're able to pass it on to your children or your grandchildren or whoever comes after you. And if you don't buy a home in the first place, that's not going to be something that you're able to pass on. So that's how it all kind of correlates in terms of what we talk a lot about here in terms of money.
I feel like it's a little bit bigger than just passing on your home too. So
Mhm.
when you purchase a home, I like to call it kind of like this magic piggy bank, right? It kind of grows in value, especially as you pay down your mortgage. You have what's called equity. So it's that what you owe versus how much the house is worth. So you're kind of growing this different kind of savings account, this little piggy bank. And sometimes you're even able to borrow against your home, which is a really efficient way of borrowing money for maybe something that needs to be done at the home. Maybe it's some sort of education. Maybe it is a car purchase. Maybe it's something along those lines where you need money and you can take from this magic piggy bank at a better interest rate because you're using a home as collateral, and that's huge. So when you purchase your home, you're able to use this to build your own wealth, which carries on to the next generation of not only being able to possibly inherit the house or sell the house for funds, but it helps you as a person grow your family's wealth and then be able to pass it on.
That's a good point, because when you think about the cost of something and you add credit card interest on top of it, you're paying so much more when you're taking out using a credit card loan versus using the equity in your home. It's just so much cheaper. Yeah, makes sense.
And that's smart too, because really what you're doing then is you are creating a consciousness in your own family in terms of how the family thinks about money and how the family handles money and makes decisions concerning money. And if you can do this through a home equity line versus, like Tara just mentioned, the high interest credit cards, what's the smarter way to go? So you're really teaching other members of the family, whether it's your children or whomever it is, how to have a different consciousness about money and how you operate. So the generational wealth can be physical wealth or monetary wealth, or it can be mental. Either way. So no, I think that's great. I'm glad that you pointed that out. You mentioned this earlier too, but another thing that you'll learn at this seminar is how banks look at credit. So
Right.
yep, just in terms of that. So it's not just as simple as to say, well, if you don't have an 800 credit score, we just can't help you. It's not necessarily that cut and dry. It sounds like there may be some other factors that are considered.
Well, right. What is credit actually? What is a credit score? And we'll go over what a credit report is, because that's what we pull. There's three credit bureaus out there. We pull all three credit reports. So what does a report all entail? What is the banker looking at on this report? And then what is the credit score, which is really this numeric value of your credit report. And it's really a moving number depending on what credit you're taking out, how much you've paid off on maybe existing credit cards, what kind of collections are out there, when some derogatory credit happened, which is bad credit, or when it's been paid off. So it's a bigger thing. And if you understand it better, you know how to keep yours healthy or repair it, which the one thing I love about credit is that it it's fixable. It's always moving and it's fixable. So if it's bad one time, because we know life happens to us all,
Right.
sometimes things happen, and but it's able to be repaired. But what are the secrets to getting that repaired? We're going to be able to go over that with you.
And I think that's important. And what were you going to say, Tara? It looks like you were about to say something.
Oh, I was just thinking too. I know that, different priorities come up in the summer. I mean, Summerfest is starting this weekend, so maybe you have other plans. Even if you're not thinking about joining today, if you go to our website, pwsb.bank/seminar, you'll see that we have future seminars listed there as well. So there's one coming up Friday, October 4th. That is at noon and 5 p.m. So again, there's 2 sessions in the hope that you can make one. So yeah, even if it isn't time right now, maybe visit that website and put out a reminder that you'd like to come to one of the October seminars, and we'll remind you about 2 weeks prior that you signed up and where it is and all the good details. Ooh, and what food we're going to have. Because
Yeah, I
that's,
was
again,
gonna
my
say
favorite part.
I would probably hedge my bets on the barbecue and just come next week.
You know,
You don't know what you might serve in October.
yeah,
I don't know.
Summerfest, barbecue. Maybe do both. Maybe come at noon, get some barbecue, and then go to Summerfest.
Well, there you go. There you go. So another thing that people will learn, Linda, in the home buyer seminar is the different types of mortgage loans and their benefits. So
Right.
what different types, just in general, can you tell us? There's different types of mortgage loans.
There's all kinds of different mortgage products out there. We call them products. And we kind of listen to your scenario. And in our head, I always say I have bells going off in my head as I'm talking to people. And it's just kind of telling me, oh, this might work for them, or that might work, or this might save them some money if they go this direction. But there are mortgage products out there that have 0% down. Again, we talked about the VA loan. There's some other loans that are specific qualifications to get into them. There are WIDA loans, which are Wisconsin sponsored, and those you can sometimes borrow the down payment funds for, which is awesome too. There are regular conventional loans, which are Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Your first time home buyers can put as little as 3% down for those. And it just kind of goes on and on from there. So there's my bank offers some products. We can't offer everything. And Gozi at Columbia Savings and Loan has some other products. So again, you guys can't offer everything, but we're going to try to fit you into what does work for you. But again, this is why you partner with a good mortgage lender, is because we know these things. You don't need to know these things. And we're going to guide you to the most efficient way of purchasing a house there can be.
Good. That sounds good. And again, that reminds me of the whole fingerprint thing, because as you're just listening and you're talking about the different types of products that are out there, and as the people are talking to you and the bells are going off and you're figuring out which of those products might best suit this particular customer so that you can kind of guide people to the best choice for them.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. So are there certain things that people should avoid before closing on their home? We'll talk about that after we come back from the break. That'll be the question. Okay. So thank you, everybody. We got to take a break. Okay, thank you. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us, rejoining us, Money Talks with Attorney Coral. And I have Tara Beyer and Linda Shea, and the from Port Washington State Bank. And the question that I was asking Linda right before we went to break was: are there things to avoid before closing on your home?
Sure. If you are under contract already, so you have an accepted offer that you've given on a property, you just want to kind of lay low for a little bit until we get that loan closed. Anything that happens could possibly, maybe put some hills in place for us to get over. One of those would be changing jobs. We always want you to be able to increase your livelihood and such. However, employment has a lot of rules around it and how we can calculate income. So you would probably want to check with us and just see, what does this mean for me if I would do this before closing, and we can walk you through it. Or is this new way I'm getting paid going to qualify for this loan I'm taking out? There are things like contract work versus W-2 work versus part-time, or maybe it's commission, things like that all have separate rules to them. So let us know the answers to that, but please let us know ahead of time. Other things would be taking out large purchases before. Don't go buy your furniture before you move in that house.
Or a new car?
Or a new car, because there's a lot of times banks will do a second check on credit right before closing to see, to make sure there isn't any large debt out there, because we don't want to put you in a spot where you can't pay this mortgage back. Getting married is a big one in the state of Wisconsin, because Wisconsin's a marital property state. It doesn't really change your rules greatly, but how we process a loan could be different. Your paperwork at the end, your closing paperwork could be different. Wisconsin's marital property laws do come into play. So that would also be if we're separating too, if someone's separating right before a loan closing. So really anything, you just want to just stay in really good communication with your lender and check. I had a customer call this morning, and they're purchasing a house and she wanted to buy appliances. She found them on sale. And she was like, is this going to be a problem? I so much appreciate that she did that, because it could have been, but we were able to talk about that beforehand.
That's good. Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's a lot more to that than I even expected
Mhm.
you to say. So that's all food for thought. Yep. Thank you for that. Tara, was there anything more you wanted to say about the relationships between Port Washington State Bank and Columbia?
Well, I think just to reiterate why we do these seminars together, the banks have different products to offer that Linda mentioned. And it's also kind of an efficient thing to do, because when we put on seminars, we're investing a lot of time and energy. And so when you partner with another bank, it just makes things more efficient. But the longer term reason for being part of Columbia Savings and Loan Association, and part of their mission, is just that we believe strongly in keeping this bank in Milwaukee and seeing it thrive. And so we need people like you to come to the bank and support them with your money. It's kind of like the small business talk that you hear sometimes. When you have $1, if you invest it in some sort of national chain, that money's going to shareholders and it's going outside your community. When you invest $1 here in Columbia Savings and Loan Association, it makes so much more of a difference. You're putting money in a spot where it can provide a home loan to several of your neighbors and other people in Milwaukee. So just a reminder that you should bank local just like you shop local. And I guess we should probably reiterate the who, what, where again. So at Columbia Savings and Loan Association, 20th and Fond du Lac, this Thursday, June 27th, we have 2 seminars. They take about an hour. They're at noon and 4 p.m. We have some delicious barbecue for you, so come hungry. And if you'd like to sign up online, you can go to www.pwsb.bank/seminar. Or if it's easier, you can call 414-374-0486 and sign up over the phone. That's Columbia Savings and Loan Association's number. So just call them, let them know that you'd like to come, how many people you're bringing. Again, that number 414-374-0486.
Okay, well, Tara Byer and Linda Shea, thank you so much for being my guests this week on Money Talks. But before we go, I'd like to give a quick hello to Steve Showalter, James Showalter, Ron Knaus, Cindy Nerodi, Jay Screws, Heather Mater, Amy Copper, and everyone else at Port Washington State Bank, everyone at Columbia Savings and Loan for that matter, who I haven't seen already this morning. Thank you for your partnership with us, all of you. We thank you so much. And listeners, if you're interested in becoming a homeowner or you want to purchase a building for your business, you need to finance your piece of the American dream. Come on down to Columbia Savings and Loan. That's 2020 West Fond du Lac Avenue. Phone number 414-374-0486. Tell them you heard it here on WNOV 860 AM 106.5 FM. And thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Special thanks again to my guests. And
Thank you, Coral.
having lost my voice now, I guess I'll stop talking. The hour's up. We'll see you next week. Thank you, everybody.